Hi there, you're listening to Arcsoncompod, the Archie comic podcast. I'm your host Nathan, and together we'll be experiencing the highs, the lows, and the downright weirds of the Archie the comic series. Today we'll be covering issue 3, so let's get straight into it. The cover for this week's issue gets straight into the fourth wall breaking. You have Sonic and Tail running onto the cover from the left, which we can tell amongst their speed lines and a few bits of paper that kicked up as they come to a screeching halt on the cover. Where have they come from in such a hurry? Well, according to Sonic, they just checked all the other comic on the rack. And with that knowledge, Tails assures you that this is the comic you want. Good to see them starting off confidently. Honestly, I'm quite enjoying the very blunt optimism this comic started off with. It's nice to see the writing team has enough faith in what they were making to joke around like this. I feel like there's a fine line between being playfully confident and obnoxious, but so far, at least in my opinion, they're handling it perfectly. But the story is that Bomb bugs me, and it's part 1, though I expect once again we'll be getting part 2 in the same comic, so no need to worry. Rota and Sally are watching a monitor as they see Sonic racing along. Apparently he's heading towards them and at incredible speed, though I'm not sure he does anything that isn't at incredible speed, at least at this stage of the comics. Notably, there's a few different options on the grey forest monitor that Rota and Sally are watching, labelled with all the different zones they can look at. In order, we have Emerald Hill, Chemical Plant, Aquatic Ruins, Casino Night, Mystic Cave, Oil Ocean, Metropolis, and Sky Chase. Congratulations to those of you who already worked it out, but these are most of the levels from the Sonic 2 game, with the understandable exclusion of the Death Fig. That said, I'm surprised they can monitor Sky Chase, given it's either got to be Robotnik's airship or a huge amount of empty sky. Sally asks how fast Sonic is going, but before Rota can answer, Sonic has appeared beside him on the next panel to answer for himself. Faster than your TV can transmit pictures of me, seems to be the answer. Rota is confused, but Sally seems to need it at least, mentioning how much Sonic loves to show off on the first page. 1 page in and 2 4 breaks already. And, for a moment, at the start there with Sonic running at full speed and the mention of a bomb in the title, I almost thought we might be in for a serious story instead. Rota remains panicked at the next panel as Sonic apologises for shooting again, but Sally dismisses the idea. After all, they're freedom fighters, they don't get that easily. Hearing that, Sonic's reassured that he can tell them the big news. Robotnik has the bomb. Both Rota and Sally let out a shriek at the news. Apparently they do scare easily after all. It seems Sonic's discovered the information while trashing SWAT-bots in Robotropolis. Though, judging by the drawing, it seemed more like the 2 SWAT-bots in question just mistimed their jump after Sonic and took each other out with a double headbutt. 3 of the SWAT-bots' pursuit. Sonic overhears Robotnik talking to Crabmeat and listens in. Crabmeat assures Robotnik that the bomb is ready, and Robotnik dances gleefully, announcing that once he detonates it, every last one of them will die. Sonic gasps and looks understandably worried. But given that we're in the gag era here, I can only assume it's going to turn out to be a big misunderstanding. My first guess would be a bug bomb or something of the sort, because maybe Robotnik's having an infestation problem. But we'll have to wait and find out. Back with the freedom fighters, Sally is musing on how terrible the situation is, as she considers the danger of a deadly weapon in Robotnik's chubby hands. That's her description, by the way. I'm not the one that's shaving Robotnik here. Sally imagines the Great Forest becoming a smouldering wasteland, but Sonic imagines things will get even worse. After all, if Robotnik can get 1 bomb, then surely he can get more. He'll be able to wipe out all life on Mobius. Rota's mental image here is particularly dark. He mentioned it being a Cold War because they'll all be on ice, which isn't what that means. But more important is the picture we get with this war-related pump. We see a graveyard with graves, many of them with legible names: Sonic, Sally, Boomer, you know, the guy I keep calling Rota, Antoine, leaving it graves for Uncle Chuck and Mutsky, Sonic's uncle and his dog, who I'm not sure if even come up in the comic yet. Despite us being still in the early years, before the comic gets particularly serious, Sally feels like she's taking the whole thing quite seriously anyway. Rota's busy bawling his eyes out, convinced the end is nigh as he sings Sweet Chariot. But Sally is determined and insists they all need to demonstrate their resolve for a bomb-free world. The word demonstrate seems to give Sonic an idea though. But our next page takes us straight to Robotnik HQ a while later, so I guess we'll have to find out what his idea was later on when it happens. A SWAT bot is talking to Robotnik. He referred to as my lumpy liege, for anyone keeping track of all of Robotnik's weird nicknames. The SWAT boss has spotted protesters outside. But that's impossible according to Robotnik, because he's already outlawed all religious freedoms. A little off topic, but I wasn't aware protesting would fall under a religious freedom, but a quick search online confirms this is the case. And if you want to know more, it's just looking it up yourself, because I get the feeling it's going to be a wildly complicated subject. And it would more than double the length of the episode if I tried to look into it properly. Oh, never mind. I should have read the next panel before going off on a tangent, because apparently the entire thing was a joke anyway. It seems Robotnik has heard protesters as Protestants, which suggests Jesus the Hedgehog may in fact be canon, but that's also a whole other story we'll not get into. Robotnik looks outside and identifies 3 protesters: Sonic, Sally, and that Soviet walrus. Ah, not just me, they keep getting Rota/Boomer's name wrong, at least. We see Robotnik being disgusted with how much Rota has let himself go and become so obese. But the SWAT bots seem smart enough not to point out the obvious hypocrisy at play here. Robotnik orders his SWAT bots to assemble a squadron, and gets the response, "At once your rotundity." To add yet another nickname to the collection. This leads to an intimidating scene of Robotnik standing in front of a horde of his SWAT bots, preparing to crush the uprising. He orders them to follow him. And you know what? Good on Robotnik for leading this charge himself. A real leader should lead from the front, after all. He begins with a ready, set, and the page ends. Dramatic tension, or the opportunity for something silly to interrupt this tense moment? Let's find out. Robotnik yells go, and he and his army charge at our heroes. No prisoners, no survivors, bellowed Robotnik. Sonic and the others don't even seem to respond. Then, suddenly, he sees the villains run straight into a wall. Robotnik is interrupted in its speech as he yells "No, oof!" while the SWAT bots yell variations of "ow" or "ouch," and one even gives their own "oof," only to be scolded by another SWAT bot, because after all, Robotnik did say "no oof," but how did this happen? Well, as one SWAT bot points out, one of the freedom fighters, namely Sonic, is now appearing on Robotnik's ample jelly belly. Not quite a new title for the Doctor there, but another little jab about it weight all the same. Robotnik is confused, but the impact from running into the wall is too much and he passes out. We finally find out what happened here. Sally was using a movie camera to project an image of them protesting onto the wall. She also called Robotnik the Fat Man, which I feel I need to mention now in case anyone is keeping track of these nicknames. It's an old and cartoon fun, but it's a classic for a reason, I guess, because it did the trick. With Robotnik out of action, Sonic hurries Sally along, because now they're free to hunt down this bomb they heard about. With that, we come to the end of the surprisingly action-packed part 1 of the story. Part 2 picks up immediately on the next page, and Robotnik telling both Sonic and Sally they must be eliminated. I was a bit surprised he recovered so quickly, but both Sonic and Sally don't seem concerned at all. In fact, they're applauding Arrow's performance. What performance should I wonder? Well, on the next page, Robotnik removes his head to reveal it was a costume. That's right. It turns out Rota can do a pretty good impression of Robotnik. It even has an excellent costume too. I guess that's why we took the time to have Robotnik much without Rota being overweight earlier on. Rota thanks for them for their applause, and lets them know he can do other voices too. He offers to let Sally hear his James Cagney impression, but Sally tells him to put the mask back on because now isn't the time. Sonic reaches for the door because, as he says, it's time to get this show on the road. In the next room, they see Crabmeat, Robotnik's right hand, the bright claw man, who seems distracted trying to catch a fly. Sonic tells Rota to call for him, which he does, with his James Cagney impression. I don't actually know who that is, at least off the top of my head, but it reads an awful lot like Yosemite Sam, so that's the same kind of thing. I guess it's spot on. Sally panics and quickly corrects Rota, getting him to call Crabmeat in Robotnik's voice instead, while Sonic lets out a sheesh in the background and looks disappointed that Rota made such an obvious mistake. It really was obvious, to the point that I'm not entirely convinced it was a mistake. I think Rota was just desperate to show off his impression. Rota puts his Robotnik mask back on and calls out to Crabmeat as a bottom-feeding flunky. Looks like we got the speech down as well as the voice. Crabmeat bounces over with a "You bellowed your blubberness." So there's yet another new title for Robotnik. Rota, as Robotnik, or Robotnik, as I think I'll start calling him, grabbed Crab Meat and orders him to bring the bomb at once. Crab Meat merged Robotnik's fishy breath, which I suppose is a hint of his true identity, but Robotnik plays it off evilly and all the better to order you around with, he bellows, and sends Crab Meat on his errand. Unfortunately, he lets slip a please in doing so, and so Crab Meat becomes immediately suspicious as he scuttles off to fetch the bomb. Moments later, Crab Meat returns with the bomb, but seems hesitant to enter the room. He calls out to the Robotnik as, "Oh, Oval One," and asks him to waddle out here for a moment. Robotnik agrees, and assures Sonic and Sally, who are hiding behind him, that things will be fine and he'll return in just a moment. Sonic is worried though that it's not a robot rat, and judging by what happens next, perhaps he was right. There are yells and sound effects outside the door with plenty of ow and pow and crunch thrown in. Sonic wants to rush to help, but Sally holds him back. She's confident Robotnik can handle himself, and they can't afford to blow their cover. As it turns out, on the next panel, she was right. Rosa handles himself admirably when he turns without his costume, but with the bomb in hand. It's just a little yellow box with the bomb missing on the side, and honestly looks a bit like a stick of butter. Sally's surprised at the small size, but Rosa plans to analyse it fully back at knothole, so rushes Sonic to hurry and lead the way. Sonic doesn't seem to feel the need to hurry though, for once, until he hears some voices outside the door. Something about Sonic wanting to get to Knothole Village to destroy it. Sonic and Sally both gasp, but Rosa starts snarling. That's not Rosa, is it? What appears to be Robotnik comes in from the other room, with a caterpillar knocks out beside him, and knocks out Swat Bot at his feet, and what seems to be the remains of Crab Meat under his arm, with nothing but one claw at his eyes. This supposed Robotnik warns Sonic and Sally not to be fooled, because Rosa is in fact the real Robotnik in disguise. Rosa, or the one that looks like Rosa, laughs at the idea, especially coming from Robotnik himself. But then Robotnik takes off his mask to reveal he actually is Rosa. "You'll laugh out the other side of your mask now, Chubbins," he yells confidently. I guess Chubbins is technically another new turtle. The fake Rosa removes his mask to reveal his Robotnik. Then we have a longer panel full of absolute chaos, as Rosa and Robotnik proceed to alternately keep leaving masks, constantly switching back and forth between which of them is actually Rosa in disguise, and which of them is actually Robotnik in disguise. It's weird for one of them to have this many disguises of both themselves and the other person, but why have they both prepared this much? It's so chaotic that, while Sally looks surprised, Sonic just looks done with it all as it's getting far too ridiculous now. Deciding to put an end to this nonsense, Sonic races around both Rosa and Robotnik. The two of them spin out in countless different masks, many of which look disturbingly like real heads, fly away from both of them, along with a few various mechanical bits and pieces like a wrench and a bolt. Finally, we can help you hit again. Sonic and Sally grab the bomb and Sally helps Rosa along as they make their escape. Robotnik tries to chase after them, but he's far too easy to stand up now and goes flat on his face once again. Well, not literally, because he actually seemed to have fallen on his chin, which I think might actually be a bit more painful. Later, we're finally back in Knothole. Rosa has recovered from his dizziness, or at least he's only as dizzy as he normally is, according to his response when Sally checks if he's okay now. Sonic's eager to get down to dismantling the bomb. Sonic looks nervous enough, but it doesn't help that Rosa's reminding him how dangerous it could be, while Sally reminds him that the fate of the world rests on his shoulders. Sonic and Rosa both close their eyes and look away as Sonic opens the box. They can't bear to look. "What kind of bomb is it?" Sonic asks Sally. "Atomic? Hydrogen? Neutron?" Good to know Sonic has such a breadth of knowledge on bombs. The answer, according to Sally, is neither. Sally holds the bomb fairly nonchalantly and looks annoyed as she reads off the instructions. Remove all household pets before discharging in the infested area. Looks like I was right all along. It was a bug bomb. We finish up this story with a glimpse back at Eggman and Crab Meat, as Crab Meat bemoans the state of affairs to round one, which might actually be a repeat of a previous name for Robotnik, but I'm not sure. Turns out Robotnik's was an infestation of flying ants in the pantry, or Robotnik can muster his trademark growl of "I eat that hedgehog," as we see the story out. Our next story is Tales as Fairy Tales, Good to see Tails standing up again. Weird he wasn't around for the last story, but it's nice to see him doing some time in the limelight again. Sonic is dozing under a tree as Tails flies and looking with what looks like a newspaper under his arm. Excited, he's telling Sonic to wake up. Tails talks about having just read what he described as the coolest story. And I'm surprised he didn't get a little joke here about him actually reading the comic he's in. But we have a rare moment here of him playing its trace, as brief as it might be. The cool story is apparently the tortoise and the hare. But Sonic yawns and shrugs the idea off with a phooey, and refers to the story as an old fossil, which, let's be honest, it kind of is. Tails takes the time to explain the story to Sonic about the turtle plodding along and overtaking the hare during a nap. That's not an honest take, by the way. The comic decides that it's a turtle instead of a tortoise now, so don't email and tell me I'm the one that got it wrong. I'm just reading what it tells me here. Sonic continues to disinterestedly wave off the idea with yells of balderdash and poppycock. After all, according to him, there's no way some creep-along cooler can outrace anyone so fast. Tails seems surprised by this, and asks if it would be any different if the turtle was riding a rocket-powered skateboard. Sonic yawns and gives a half-hearted, maybe, and totally misses the turtle that actually is speeding past right now on a rocket-powered skateboard. Unfortunately, that's the end of that one-page story. So I'm really not sure if the turtle on a rocket skateboard was real or not. I guess you get to make a very mind as to whether or not that rocket skateboarding turtle was real or just a figment of Paul Tails' imagination. Next up, we have another one-page story, this time titled Doublespeak. We start off with Sonic looking annoyed while talking on the phone. It occurs to me I should specify that this is an old landline phone. Much I don't want to call it old because I still use mine, but such is the tragedy of growing older. Sonic laughs as whoever's on the other end of the call. Gentlemen may have a ridiculous opinion. And in the next panel, he's suddenly gone. We get a little zoom burst of sound with a faintly Sonic-shaped cloud of dust where his nose raced off. To where, you might ask? To another phone, of course. He asked when the other caller was appointed the Secretary of Inferior Intellect, which is a pretty fun insult, actually. Maybe I'll try and keep that in the back pocket for future. Let me know if any of you find an excuse to use it in real life. Then we have Sonic on the phone again, arguing that if brains were dynamite, you couldn't blow your nose. If it wasn't clear by now, the last panel makes it obvious. Sonic's been talking to himself this whole time. He explains that when you travel faster than the speed of sound, sometimes you end up talking to yourself. It's true too by the looks of it, because as he's approaching the phone, he can still catch the sound in his own voice yelling, "And another thing," on the call. All in all, another short story, but fun nonetheless, even if it was just an excuse to tell a joke. Sometimes the joke made funnier by putting so much effort into it, and I'd say that's the case here. We move on to another single-page story, this one called Paper Trail. Sally's the first character to appear here. She is furious. Someone is in very deep yogurt, apparently. I think it's safe to say yogurt is a euphemism here, unless there are some very strange and oddly cruel punishments in not told. Sally sits in her throne and learns that there shall be no peace until the perpetrators have been punished, because there is no room for traitors. We see a big crowd of people gathered to listen to her. Most of them are a shadowy blue mass with a few familiar faces such as Sonic, Tails, Antoine and Rota, and also weirdly what looked like a purple dog wearing Antoine's clothes. I guess there are a lot of other freedom fighters after all, and we just don't see them as much. Also, the purple dog is very much in the background and not the focus, so I think the artist might have just been having a little fun deciding to fill in the background with a unique character for the first time. I think we probably get a lot more of that later on in the comics too. Sally grabs her crown and her scepter, which is topping the acorn, and reminds everyone present that she is the ruler, Princess Sally Acorn, and her word is law. She ensures everyone that she shall be avenged before grabbing Antoine and dragging him off to begin the investigation. He looks terrified as he's dragged away, but agrees all the same, either out of loyalty to the princess or simply out of terror. It's difficult to say which. Yet what would make the princess so angry? Well, it turns out, it was a silly prank by Sonic, Tails and Rota. They're in a panic as they've never seen her so angry. Tails is surprised, Rota is rushing to wash ink from his hands, and Sonic is sweating bullets because he thought she'd be able to take a joke. So, what was the joke? Well, in Sonic's hands, we see an issue of the Knothole Inquisitor. A newspaper they've clearly put together. We have the headline of Princess Di, spelled D-Y-E, and talk of Princess Sally's blonde to brunette debacle. That's right, The topic this whole time was a newspaper article about Sally dyeing her hair. After a little research online, all I could find was that one of her early design ideas had her blonde, though that didn't make it into the comic. It's possible it was in the mysterious issue 0, and I just didn't discover it, however. Whatever the case, at least we know what the drama was now, and not to discuss Sally's hair dyeing antics around her. With that, we close out yet another silly little mini-story. Our next story is Rabbot Deployment. I haven't misspoken there, that's a mix of rabbit and robot for anyone confused. Any fans of the old cartoon series will no doubt already have an idea where this is going, and I'm glad to see the new character introduced. I was always a big fan growing up, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's follow the story along and let her be introduced properly, shall we? Sonic comes screeching into the story and announces himself with a "coming through," while Sally tuts and bemoans how difficult it is to get his skid marks out of the floor. I really hope she means from running and not the other kind of skid marks. Sonic mentions that Sally summoned him and refers to himself as a humble and obedient servant. She laughs off the idea of him being humble or obedient, but oh well, at least he showed up. It seems she wants him to check out some pictures and rotors. He was grumbling in the background that he didn't order double prints. Off topic, but seeing him go through all photos like this is really making me aware of quite how fast technology has come along. I don't know if I like it, it's all quite old. Apparently Ruth used as the Little Mermaid camera, which at first I thought was a weird technical name, but no, it's literally a child's camera with a mermaid along the top. In case the reference wasn't clear enough, Sonic complements his aerial photography with aerials and not the same way as the Disney princess. Sally groans at the terrible puns in the background while they laugh amongst themselves. Sally moves the men from their puns because it's actually a very serious situation. Robotnik is making deep inroads to the southern sector at Mobius. The shot here is really nice. You have dark outlines of Sally, Sonic and Rotor in a dark blue background while they're talking. With only the photo in Sonic's hands and their facial features clearly visible. It does a pretty good job of getting across the point to realise how serious they're getting. Rotor asks what they can do, and so Sonic leaps into action. He grabs Rotor and uses a spring to launch the two of them along a complicated tongue up to the surface. Sally wishes them luck while Sonic gives his best southern impression with, "Why, Cajun micro Dad Rotor, you good old boy, we are going to head down to Dixie." I apologise for my attempt at the accent there, but I imagine it's probably not far off what Sonic was doing. So if you should be annoyed at anyone for that, it should be the cartoon hedgehog, and not me. A short time later, after a stop at the sporting goods store for rollerblades, according to notes above the panel, we see Sonic racing along and putting Rotor behind him. Rotor's on rollerblades and wearing plenty of protective gear, and warns Sonic to slow down as they are approaching the danger zone. Sonic dismisses his concerns as they're already in the danger zone and calls him Boombox, which I guess could be Boom's full name, as his name is supposed to be Boomer despite me still insisting on calling him Rotor. They stumble upon two SWATs grabbing hold of a sweet little brown bunny girl. She's got plenty of spunk though, telling them to unhand her and calling them Yankee contraptions. Yankee, as one of the SWAT bots, but I'm an Orioles fan. Admittedly, I had to look that one up. It's a baseball joke for no one else that doesn't get it. Then we pan across and riffle and find out what their plans to do with the poor bunny. They have a big orange truck labelled Bot on the Spot, a portable robot maker, and they're carrying the bunny girl over towards it. Sonic rushes to save her, and Sonic tries to remind her that they're still tied together, but it's too late. Sonic mentions it looks like a job for Sonic the Hedgehog, as the rope tying him to Rotor twangs and pulls him back suddenly. In the distance, we can see the bunny girl younger. She's tossed into the Bot on the Spot machine. Oh no! Looks like the fastest thing alive wasn't fast enough this time. Rotor apologises to Sonic while the SWAT bots congratulate one another, sharing a high multifunction digits, or, a high five if you're a robot. Sonic actually looks angry now, something I'm not sure we've particularly seen yet. He insists there's still time to act and launches into action with a horizontal Sonic spin, and slices the heads clean off both SWAT bots. Well, that's actually quite violent, all things considered. I know there are any robots, but still, wow. The bots still managed to make a joke about their imminent death, though, mentioning that they hate it when Sonic goes for a spin, because he is the old cutter. His spin carries him onwards to the colourful robot maker, and destroys the side of the vehicle. Inside we find the bunny girl inside the robot maker. Sonic stops for a moment, stunned to see Robotnik in action. She hurries him along, attempting to turn it off. Sonic finally comes to his senses and does so, saving the poor bunny girl from being transformed into a robot in the nick of time. Well, sort of. Rotor asks if everything's okay. But as Sonic and Rotor help him bring the girl out of the vehicle, we discover the result along with Rotor. The machine was shut down halfway through the process. He's now half rabbit, and as Rotor puts it, half Rabbot. Sonic's less concerned with that, however, and more with the fact that she's hurt and needs help urgently. He wants to take her back to Knothole, but Rotor hesitates. After all, she's half robot now. With Robotnik can use her to track them. Sonic argues against him because the lazy needs help, and asks the question, what are we, mice or men? Rotor answers neither, which is true, followed by Sonic saying, my point exactly, let's go. Rotor can't really argue, as Sonic barrels over in the conversation with us. So Rotor picks up the bunny and is zooming along on the rollerblades as Sonic pushes him from behind at super speed. With that, we reach the end of part 1 of the story. That was a little more serious than anything we've had so far, I think. You know, I really liked it. Yes, there's still a bunch of fun jokes here and there, but it felt like we had some stakes here too. And perhaps just as important, we got our first real taste of roboticization and Sonic failing to save someone and so on. We're still in the early comics, so I wasn't expecting anything more than bad puns and fat jokes. But it's nice to already getting a bit of a real story. Here's hoping they can maintain this balance for the second part. He moves straight into part 2 of the story, as Sonic and Rotor arrive back at base. Sonic hurries along, reporting into Sally, as an out-of-breath Rotor runs after him, still carrying the bunny girl in his arms. Sally's sitting in her throne as she welcomes them back. And it's interesting, there's the second time we've seen them in this issue. It looked like, for one reason or another, they're really trying to focus on the fact she's a princess as well as a freedom fighter. Perhaps they're gearing up soon for some more significant block beats. Either way, she asks who their new friend is, and Rotor tries to explain they never got her name, only for her to suddenly leap out of his arm and bounce excitedly from the floor with that whang sound effect. Once again, that feels spot on. Whoever's making up these sound effect words is really, really good at what they do. The bunny girl finally introduces herself by name and tells them they can call her Bunny. Suppose we should have to guess that one. And if you're a fan of the old Sat AM cartoon series, you'll already be familiar with Bunny. She also tells them they're welcome to call her Buns, but not to call her Bugs, and not to call her mate when it's time to defeat Robotnik. Looks like she's very eager to join their cause. Sonic only much of a question mark in his speech, while there looks a strange mix of befuddled and happy. But Sally seemed oddly dismissive of Bunny's offer as she asks what she can do. I mean, look at her. She's half robot. She's clearly going to be a huge help. Bunny is then too happy to show off her skills for her. She talks about how her robot heart makes her extra strong, and demonstrates by effortlessly lifting Sally's throne while she's still in it. She also shows off her incredible karate kick moves, which Sonic only narrowly manages to dodge. He mentioned that anyone else wouldn't have got away quick enough, but Bunny just takes the opportunity to play with him a little. He's fast and cute. She's eager to learn his name. Sonic seems a bit less interested though and just tells her to put down the princess. Hearing Sally's title was insincere for Bunny, who immediately drops the throne and hurries to apologise. We get a surprised Sally in motion as she bounces the left-leaning throne, no doubt recalling from that brief sudden drop. It turns out Princess Sally Acorn is in fact Bunny's hero, despite her not recognising her, of course. And apparently it's always been Bunny's dream to be Sally's hairdresser. It's an odd dream, but hey, each to their own. Sally seems happy now and jokes that she's going to need one, given the mess her hair is in after being thrown around in her throne. But she seems more interested in having Bunny join as a freedom fighter instead. It seems like her strength impressed the princess. She's not the only one eager to have more freedom fighters either, as Antoine comes rushing in a panic, agreeing that they need all the help they can get. Bunny seems quite interested by the little old soldier boy who's walked in, and asks Sonic about him. Of course, Sonic can't resist a little jab at Antoine given a chance, and while he does tell Bunny that his name is Antoine de Coulette, he also lets her know that Sonic prefers to just call him the headwind bat. In the background, Antoine is trying to explain how big something is while holding his arms wide, and Sally looks annoyed. presuming he's just interrupted them to talk about his fishing trip. As the inward not in the middle of a conversation, though, Rose at least notices some strange rubbling as it started. Now Anton finally gets to explain what he wanted to warn them about, and we really get to see it for ourselves. Above ground and coming in hot is a gigantic Robot tearing up the great forest. It really is huge too. Its wheels are crushing full-grown trees as it crumbles along. It's hauling the whole tree in one hand, roots and all, so it's clearly ripped the entire thing out of the ground by force. The thing will be at least 3 times the size of a full-grown tree. Sonic Grumpy's his head though, and races up to the surface to take it down. He tells everyone to stand back, because this is a job for Sonic the Hedgehog. But it seems he won't be taking this one all alone apparently, because Bunnie thinks it's also time for his new butt-busting partner Rabbot to take the stage with him. Antoine asks who and what she is, seemingly noticing her for the first time, and looks positively thrilled to see her. Rosa looks mildly concerned, which at this point I think might just be his default expression, and Saki looks sort of happy. I say sort of because she actually looks kind of terrifying. She's missing her nose here. It's only a small thing, but wow, it really throws off the whole face. Not a huge deal that she's kind of in the background, but after noticing it, I found it difficult to look away. Guess I'll be seeing that for nightmares for a while now. Great. Sonic pops up from the secret base entrance and looks around for a giant Robot, calling out for please and buckets of bolts, which I feel like doesn't make a huge amount of sense, because why would Fleas be biting the machine? But hey, he's angry. I think you can forgive a mixed-up insult in the heat of the moment. He gets a speak bubble of Bunnie telling him to get back down, and she grabs Sonic to pull him down again just before the giant Robot's wheel rumbled past. Looks like Bunnie's already proving her worth. Just saved Sonic from turning into a pancake. Sonic thanks her. She assures him it's fine, although she may still use the reference now for when she applies to hairdressing school. I think that's fair. Surely it's a small price to pay for having saved his life. Sonic tells Bunnie he's got a plan and has her stand back as he runs in a circle, kick up a tornado and play a little game of Twister with the giant robot. Bunnie watches on and talks up with a hero of Sonic's, but dismisses any intention of chasing after him, because apparently she can always tell that the Princess Sally had her eye on him. Well, Bunnie's picking up on everything pretty quick here. Definitely a good addition to the crew within minutes of joining up. But then again, maybe I'm just biased because I've always been a fan. Yet, as Bunnie watches Sonic initiate his plan to take care of the giant Robot, she realises with horror that it's begun turning towards Sonic. It was a trap all along. The giant bot was supposed to lure Sonic out the whole time, so it could zap him with its attack ray and then crush him under its giant treads. We get a close-up of the Robot's head as it approaches, and in the next panel it's sideways for some reason, and the next panel then finds it upside down. Even Speech Bubble is upside down, which is a neat little addition. Robot's little red cap falls off as it struggles to compute what's happening, and then we pan out to find the entire giant robot is now upside down, on its head, with no way of righting itself as its treads spin uselessly in the air. Bunnie makes it clear it was for her doing, and warns the bot that nobody messes with Blue Boy while she's around. And if it wasn't clear enough, Sonic spells it out. Bunnie used her super strength to toss the robot backwards. I'd like to once again reiterate quite how huge this robot was. I knew she was always meant to be strong, but wow, that's one heck of an introduction for a character. Of course, it is Sonic's comic after all, so he has to at least get some opportunities to shine. He has Bunnie stand back as he races up to finish off the giant robot. Bunnie seems happy enough to let him take over though. She's just confused by his plan. After all, why is he just running in circles around us? What's he trying to do? She calls out to ask him, but Sonic has her wait and see. Moments later, we discover Sonic had dug a huge trench around the upside-down robot, which proceeds to collapse and bury the Robot as Sonic leaps away to safety. We finish up with the crew officially welcoming Bunnie into their ranks. She's happy enough to join, but once again reminds them that she'd actually like to be a hairdresser. Girl's got a dream and she's sticking to it. Gotta admire it, really. Sally assures her that she can be as soon as Robotnik's defeated, and Sonic has an idea too. She can practice on Antoine's hair whenever he's not using it, he suggests, as he plucks the hair right off Antoine's head, much to his dismay. I assume it's a throwaway joke, but now I'm really starting to wonder if Anton actually is wearing a toupee or something. But we come to the end of that story and move on to our final page. This final page is a cutout of Robotnik holding up Robotnik's rules, where you're instructed to clip them, post them, and most importantly of all, obey them. Here's the rules for you if you haven't read yourself. No laughing, no singing, no plants, no music, no books, no exercise, no friends, no pets, no fun, no healthy food, and no complaining about my rules. The whole list is signed off by IR, which I briefly thought might be a writer, but then realised the very obvious answer. It's either Robotnik. Of course it is. How are his rules after all? With that, we come to the end of issue 3 of the comic, and the end of the 3rd episode of Arcsoncompod. Did you enjoy it? Was there anything you wish they covered by now, or any characters you are eager to see appear? Did you have anything you particularly enjoyed this issue? I think I've made it pretty clear that Bunnie Rabbot stood out for me across the entire issue. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to email them to me at arcsoncompod@gmail.com. That's arcsoncompod@gmail.com. Or just drop a comment on the episode. As they start coming in, I'll try and read a couple out each episode, so don't hesitate to get in contact. Also, before we wrap up, we actually have a question that's been emailed in from someone. This is coming from RJ Cross, who asks, what is your favourite insult so far that Eggman/Robotnik has been called by his minions? I think your lardness has to be my favourite so far. Also, say coconuts again. I love it when words stop making sense. Well, I suppose I do hate to please. So, to begin with, let's coconuts with coconuts. Because by coconuts, of course, using coconuts, on behalf of coconuts, who does use coconut on the coconuts, we can coconuts onto the next coconuts before we coconut coconuts. Coconuts. With that out of the way, let's actually answer the question. I'm not sure if this one's already come up or not, because I've read a little bit ahead, but the first nickname insult to springtime to me is probably your rotundity. There's something about the term just a little more out there, and you can really feel the spherical nature of the insult. Thank you, RJ Frost, for emailing again. And remember, if any of the rest of you want to have a chance for your comments or questions to be read out and answered, don't forget to get in contact too. Next week we'll be moving on to issue 4. So until then, I've been your host Nathan, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Arcsoncompod and giving me an excuse to re-experience these wonderful comics all over again. Take care, and here's hoping you'll be joining me again in the next episode. Goodbye.